Y'all, I've been in my nomadic bag this year, okay? I had to do it because I took a little hiatus from traveling, even though I was moving around in the States. And it feels so amazing, so good to get back on the road again. Is it tiring? Absolutely. But you put all of it together, the experience, the activities, the knowledge that you gain, like, it's a whole vibe. And I just really wouldn't change a thing. I love traveling, and that is why I consider myself an expat with nomadic tendencies. A lot of times expats, they will stay in one location, right? And you hear about digital nomads moving around a lot. Digital nomads are people who work abroad and like on their laptops and stuff remotely, and then they're able to just move around. Well, I'm an expat and a digital nomad. There are seasons when I'm sitting still in the country that I'm currently in, which is Egypt. And then there are seasons when I travel. If you guys aren't following my channel, what are you doing? Okay, I need you to go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss when I post videos, because had you had already joined the family, you would have known that I went to Jordan and Turkey, and you have already showed love. But if you haven't, it's okay. I understand. Welcome to the tribe. I'm happy you're here. But if you're an oldie but goodie, hey you, I see you. Welcome back. Hey y'all, it's Sade Umore, your favorite expat with nomadic tendencies. Thank you so much for stopping by. I wanted to do this video to kind of bridge the gap, right, between how I ended up leaving Tanzania and coming over to Egypt. I know many of you did not start with me on my journey in 2021 from the US to the continent of Africa. So I'm going to kind of give you a little background for that, and then explain to you guys why my first attempt with the expat country, if you will, Tanzania, did not work. And in 2014, I had a spiritual awakening. I started researching the expat lifestyle or digital nomad lifestyle, but I wasn't really looking under those terms because nobody was really talking about it at that time. I won't say nobody was doing it. I'm just going to say there wasn't much information online like how it is today about Black folks, African Americans moving abroad. So in 2014, I only had one son, and I was in corporate America, kind of working my way up, trying to, you know, get certain titles so I can get the coins, right? And everything was kind of working out. But then I moved to Georgia, had another son. Life was lifing. But when the situation happened, I started prepping, and I moved from my apartment to my home. I was gardening because I wasn't expecting to leave America at that time. However, I kept saying to my mama, like, I feel like I'm doing this for somebody else. Like, I'm ordering all of this stuff, and I just feel like I'm doing this for somebody else. And lo and behold, I was, right? So, you know, initially I was going to Mexico, y'all. But then, you know, I prayed about it, fasted about it, and Tanzania popped up. I saw this documentary like a few years prior to about the Maasai tribe and how this lady had married, and she was a white woman. She married someone in the Maasai tribe, and for some reason it didn't click to me that that was Tanzania. Well, when I was praying and stuff and just, you know, trying to figure out why, if I really wanted to go to Mexico, that a newer documentary came on about like an update of her life. And that's when I realized it was Tanzania. Aside from that, there was an American family that I didn't know personally, but we used to follow each other on Instagram. And then I got a new page and kind of lost like I wasn't following that person anymore. And then when I was listening to an interview, I realized that it was the same person. And so I kind of felt a little bit more connected in that sense, as far as being comfortable with moving to Tanzania because of that. So not only did I see the documentary, right? But now there is somebody that I don't know, but kind of know of, like aware of, that's there, who has children. She's married, I'm not, but still, you know, I have children and it seems like everything is going well. So boom, I get a consultation. And when I get the consultation, you know, I actually do two with two different YouTubers. And I decide that, hey, you know, I believe that the Most High is telling me to, you know, move abroad to Tanzania. They weren't even, you know, forcing people to, you know. So I was like, those are the, hey, confirmation right there. So boom, pack up everything that I was going to take, sell everything that I was going to sell, and gave away what I was going to give away. Get to Tanzania, and there were a few things that made me go, and it made me start questioning whether or not I wanted to stay there long term. As you guys know, I didn't stay there because I'm in Egypt, but I would like to share these things. First, let me say this. I loved Tanzania. I enjoyed Tanzania. And if I get the chance again, I would visit Tanzania. So there's no hatred with this. In fact, it took me a while to make this video because people tend to get sensitive when you have different opinions about some of these African countries. But I think that it's important that we do talk about some of these things, y'all. We have to, because people will get up and they'll be inspired by you and they'll make these moves, and they're just not prepared for the other side. I think it's just important that we share the good and the bad. And in this case, I won't say it's necessarily bad because it works for some people. It just didn't work for me. So the first thing would be immigration. Every country has its own rules, regulations, you know, requirements, eligibilities, and all of that stuff. And I completely get it. But for U.S. citizens, you are required, from my understanding, to get a multiple entry visa. Now, with that being said, I believe the multiple entry visa was $100 US at the time. And it allowed you to stay in Tanzania for a year. However, you had to leave every 90 days. With Tanzania, you had to leave and go back to the States. That's what they wanted you to do. Some people did not do that. They went to Kenya and other places, but they really wanted you to go back to the United States to fulfill the requirement. If you got an extension, they may give you a month, they may give you 2 months. It was just an inconvenience, if you ask me, because who want to do that every 90 days? It gets expensive, especially going back to the States. And I didn't want to deal with that. Also, what I didn't like was that people were getting approved for like certain visas to be in Tanzania for a certain amount of time. And, you know, those visas were not being honored. On one end, I felt welcomed. On the other end, I just felt like they don't really want you to be here. So with that being said, I was like, I don't think that Tanzania is for me. So I need to pray about this thing and figure out, you know, where I'm going next. And that's exactly what I did. The next thing is housing. I didn't like the whole setup as far as you having to have someone come with you to find the home. And I think they called them Dalali. And then you would have to pay them like the rent amount, then pay the landlord the rent amount, or maybe a security deposit or whatever it was that the agreement was for. And I also didn't like the fact that you would have to pay 6 months or you would have to pay a year's worth of rent. Like, why am I doing that when on this multiple entry visa, I have to leave every 90 days? And if y'all have been doing business, which most of them have done business, and they understand what's going on because the word get around. I don't know how, but it gets around fast. I already know that a lot of times, immigration, your government be tripping. Here it is, you have 6 months worth of rent, but I was only here 3 months, or 12 months worth of rent, and I was only able to be here 6 months. Because it's, one thing that you need to know about immigration is that it's in their hands. They determine how long you stay and, or if you're going to stay at all. I didn't really like how that was, even though I was blessed. I was blessed to find a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, brand new apartment in a compound area with security and all the things, thanks to my dada, who had lived in America and kind of, understood the ways. She was Tanzanian. She is Tanzanian. But she understood the American way. And so she was really a blessing, her and her sister, to me and my family. And so I'm truly grateful for her. But that didn't stop me from having to pay that Delali, that rent. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really like that about the housing thing, as well as them expecting you to fix everything. Now, in my case, my apartment was new, but there were like little small things where they didn't seal off the door, and I would have to call and say, hey, can you get them to put something under there because mosquitoes and things are coming in because it's not sealed, or like in the shower, they have a tendency to not put, I would call it like a wall stopper, where it goes from one end of the wall to the other end of the wall to stop the water from like going through on the whole, like throughout the whole bathroom. That wasn't mandatory, but I just, I got a little OCD, y'all. I didn't like it. And so, I asked him if he could put something there to kind of, stop the water from coming. And he did do that. It was just like little small things to make, the transition a little bit more smoother. But there were situations where people were in houses where they were pretty much falling apart, and the responsibility was being placed on the tenant. And that's something that we're not used to in the US. You might as well get used to that all over, Africa. I don't know about other continents. I'm specifically talking about the continent of Africa and the countries within it. I've heard this from various people that, the burden of responsibility falls on you. Like if the hot water heater goes out, you just moved in, you got to pay for it. Or if the toilet breaks, you got to pay for it. It's like they halfway put stuff together sometimes, or fix it and then expect you to pay for it. And it's like, nah, I don't like that. So the next thing was the power outages. Tanzania was outrageous with the power outages, and it was irking me because I was like, listen, y'all, is there not like a list or something that we can look at to know when the power is gonna go out? Because it was one thing to do like a prepay, which is something that I wasn't used to. A lot of us aren't used to that in the States. Different states do different things and they have different power companies. However, where I'm from, we had like 2 main power companies, and one you pay as you go, which I didn't have, and the other one was you pay monthly. So you use your service and they send you a bill. In Tanzania, you pay as you go, like you pay ahead. But, I had to get used to that. Not only that, but the power is going out, at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you start breaking the sweat, and the power's out like pretty much until 6 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, is there anything like that we can do? Like it's in the daytime, and I decide that I want to go to the mall or go somewhere else until the power comes back on. But who wants to do that daily? Nobody, especially if you live in the country, because I was living like in a rural area, which I call the country. That's what we call it back home. Ubers and stuff would cancel because they didn't want to come out there. And so, it became costly and it became a nuisance because the power would go out every day and it would go out for hours on end. Working was pretty much going to be impossible, especially for those of you who have to talk on the phone. and the calls have to come in, you're not going to be able to do that. Power outages were ridiculous, and I needed to be somewhere where the power didn't go out like that. And last but not least, healthcare. Now, I never had to go to the hospital or the doctor's office, but I did go to the dentist, and the power went out, y'all, while I was in the middle of getting work done. It was not a good experience at the end. It started off good, but it didn't really end well. And so, yeah, that was enough to traumatize me with that. But I was told by the Dada that there were about 1 or 2 hospitals in Dar es Salaam that were up to American standards, and the rest of them you just were taking a gamble. And I didn't really feel comfortable with that, because the way that they drive out there is a mess. Same here. It's awful here. But there, it was just more like, because I was coming straight from the US. So coming to Dar es Salaam and being in that kind of traffic, being in the little tuk-tuks, or I think they call them bajajis, and then they're literally jumping in between cars, getting on the curb, and going into driving in ongoing traffic, y'all. My heart, the chiropractic work that I had done had been reversed. Okay, it was madness, and I was always thinking, Lord, I'm in this rural area. If something happens, these so-called American standard hospital is so far from me, will they be able to treat me? First of all, get to me and then treat me. It was just a whole bunch going on in my head about the healthcare. Those were really the 4 reasons why Dar es Salaam, Tanzania did not work for us as an expat country, and we chose Egypt instead. There was some prayer that came behind that thing. Egypt wasn't even on my mind in the beginning, but so far, so good. But I just wanted to share with you guys why the first expat country didn't work, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes you have to go through things to figure out what works best for you, and then you have to do what works best for you. I don't regret leaving. I do miss the greenery. I miss being able to go out to the beach and just have some of that Jamaican food and really catch the vibe. I do miss that, but I just didn't like dealing with all of the other things that were more so like a hassle to me. I'm 1000% okay with it not working, because I'm where I feel like I'm supposed to be for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Shalom.